Hi, I'm Amanda McCarthy with River City Food Bank. Have you been hearing about changes to CalFresh and wondering what it all means? If so, you are not alone. We are getting those questions every single day. And that's why we've put together a panel of local experts from Legal Services of Northern California, Sacramento County's Department of Human Assistance, and River City Food Bank to talk about the changes coming to CalFresh, who's impacted, and how you can be prepared and get support. I am thrilled to introduce the CalFresh Community Forum, which will be available exclusively on River City Food Bank's YouTube channel. I encourage you to watch and share with anyone who needs a little more clarity and support right now. At River City Food Bank, we believe food is a basic human right, and no one should have to face hunger alone. Please reach out if you have any questions or want to learn more. Thank you. Hi.
Welcome to River City Food Bank's CalFresh Community Forum, May 2026. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate it. We're finding there are changes happening with CalFresh as of June 1st of this year. And we have been finding that here at the food bank and around the state, there is confusion, anxiety, misinformation, and just around these changes. And so we felt it would be important to help people understand a little bit more about what these changes really are, how can they prepare, what are they going to be receiving from their county, who does it apply to, as well as a variety of other helpful resources for you. The information that you'll gain from today's forum is not only for you, but perhaps friends, neighbors, relatives that are possibly experiencing changes to their CalFresh case. So we invite you to share the information as you learn it. I'd like to go over what we're going to do today as far as what our hour together is going to look like. So let me start by introducing, we'll have a panel, and let me start by introducing that panel. The first one is Stephen Goldberg. He is the Regional Counsel for Legal Services of Northern California. He will be sharing out what these changes are, who do they apply to, and some of the timing on this. So Stephen, thank you for joining us, and he'll be first on our panel. Next, we'll move on to our county, Sacramento County, that is, Department of Human Assistance, Jenny Ward. She is the Human Services Supervisor for the CalFresh Policy Department. She'll be sharing out what is the county's role and responsibility in all these changes, what will customers expect from the county, and how to respond, how to help the county do what they need to do in order to address the changes and where they can gain support. Finally, we're going to have myself, Amy Dearlam, again, River City Food Bank CalFresh Outreach Director here, to talk a little bit about, from a food bank CBO perspective, what we can do to help navigate the changes, find resources, and be able to get you through these changes. And then we'll be going at the very end, we'll be going over questions and answers. And we want to thank all of you who submitted questions for our panelists. We'll be addressing those the last 15 minutes of our hour together, as well as providing links and opportunities for other places to continue to get information and resources from the state and locally as well. I think we're ready to begin the panel at this point. All right. So Stephen Goldberg, again, from Legal Services Northern California, Regional Counselor, sharing out with us all about these changes, who does it apply to, and perhaps a little timeline on that as well.
Thank you very much, Amy. Very happy to be here and very happy to share information about the upcoming changes involving CalWorks, and in particular, the work requirements and community engagement and time limits for CalFresh that are coming on June 1st. Next slide, please. So in the general overview of what's going to happen is effective June 1st, There is going to be a work requirement that applies to every CalWORKs applicant and recipient who is age 18 to 64 unless they are exempt. And that time limit is receiving CalFresh only 3 months in every 36 months unless they are exempt or they are meeting the CalFresh work requirements. And we're going to talk about what all of that means today. Some of you may be familiar with this rule as the ABOD, or Able-Bodied Adults Without Dependents rule. This is a rule that hasn't applied in California for many years for various reasons. But now, because of the federal budget reconciliation bill HR 1 last year, now is part of California law and is in fact required nationwide. And so California is implementing that, as I said, effective June 1st. Next slide, please. So the general overview of how the CalFresh work rules work is that people are eligible for CalFresh for 3 months in a fixed 36-month period. And that fixed 36-month period started January 1st, 2026. Unless they are meeting the work participation requirement, which is 20 hours per week or 80 hours per month, they are exempt, or they live in a county with a waiver of the time limits, which today is Colusa, Tulare, Imperial, Alpine, Merced, Monterey, and Plumas through October 31st, 2026. That's based on the unemployment rate in those counties, and that will be reevaluated effective November 1st, and we don't know what will happen. It is possible to qualify for an additional 3 months to regain eligibility if somebody stops participating and then starts participating again. And this June 1st, 2026 date is for new applicants. As of June 1st, every new applicant will be subject to these requirements. The requirements will become effective for people who are recipients as of June 1st, 2026 at their next annual recertification or semi-annual report. Next slide, please. So the general flow of how this is going to work is the first step is work registration, and that happens automatically in California, but there are various exemptions that we'll talk about in a moment. And if somebody is exempt from work registration, stop. Those folks don't have to worry about the time limit. The next step is to do work participation. And if somebody is exempt from the work participation requirement, stop. They don't have to worry about the time limit. It doesn't apply to them. And then the third step is to actually meet the work participation or community engagement requirement. And we'll talk about how people can do that. And if people are meeting that requirement, then they can continue to receive their CalFresh benefits. And finally, if somebody is not exempt and not meeting the work participation requirement, benefits stop after 3 months. Next slide, please. So the first step is the work registration requirement. Everybody who receives CalFresh is required to register for work, but in California, it's set up that this happens automatically. However, there are multiple groups of people who are exempt from even that work registration requirement. And if folks are exempt from the work registration requirement, then the time limit doesn't apply. And so some of those folks are people under age 16, people age 16 to 17 who are not the head of household, 16 or 17-year-olds who are intending school or an employment training program at least half time. People who are physically or mentally unfit for employment. And also people over age 59, but that's the one group that's still subject to the time limit. Yes, it's a little confusing, but those folks are exempt from work registration, but still have to deal with the work participation. Next slide, please. People who are working at least 30 hours per week, which includes self-employed people, people who are earning wages at a job that are earning the equivalent of at least the federal minimum wage for 30 hours, which is $217.50. That's the magic amount. If somebody is earning that per week, then they're exempt from work registration and don't have to worry about the time limit. Migrant or seasonal farm workers who will be working at least within the next 30 days. Somebody who is responsible for caring for children under age 6, or someone who is incapacitated. If somebody is meeting a CalWorks work requirement, that is somebody who is also on CalWorks and is meeting the CalWorks welfare to work requirement, they are exempt from work participation. Somebody who is a regular participant in a drug addiction or alcohol treatment program, somebody who is receiving or has applied for unemployment insurance is exempt at least as long as their application is pending. And finally, a student who is enrolled at least half-time in any school, college, or training program. Next slide, please. And so if somebody is not exempt from the work registration requirement, the next step is the work participation and time limit requirements. And there is a different set of exemptions from the time limits and work participation and community engagement requirement. Couldn't make it so easy that the exemptions are the same for both of them. They're similar, but they're not the same. So the exemptions from the time limit and work participation requirement is people under age 18 or over age 64, people who are deemed to be mentally or physically unfit for work. That's the term that is used in the legislation, and that includes the form CF887, which is filled out by a medical provider, somebody who is pregnant, and somebody who is working 20 hours per week or 80 hours per month is meeting the work participation requirement. We'll talk about that in a moment. Somebody who is participating in employment and training program for at least 20 hours a week. That can include job search if it's less than half of those hours. So, no more than 10 hours per week of that can be job search. Participating in a work fair program that the county has put on, if the county offers work fair, for the required number of hours, which is determined by dividing the CalFresh benefit by minimum wage. The parent or step-parent or person otherwise responsible for the care of and living in the same household as a dependent child under age 14. And then individuals who meet the definition of Indian, Urban Indian, or California Indian in the Indian Healthcare Improvement Act. That gets kind of technical, so I'm not going to get into the details of who qualifies as an Indian, but in general, it is our California Native American population, and self-attestation is sufficient to grant that exemption. And finally, the work registration exemptions that we already mentioned. Next slide. And there are multiple ways to meet the CalFresh work requirement. That's why it's not just work, it's also work and community engagement. It includes employment, which includes paid employment, self-employment, or what we call in-kind employment. That would be, for example, doing work in exchange for rent. Somebody who is enrolled in a CalFresh employment and training program and meeting the requirements for that. Someone who is enrolled in a Work Investment Opportunity Act program, a WIOA program, or a program under Section 236 of the Trade Act of 1974. That's people who have lost employment because of trade issues, international trade issues. Community service or volunteer work, which must be with a nonprofit organization and has to be verified by that organization. Someone who is participating in a county work fair program. Work fair is a little different in that it can't be combined with other activities. I'll say something about that in a second. There is, if somebody is unable to participate for a certain period of time, people can request good cause for not participating. And all of these activities can be combined to meet the 20 hours per week or 80 hours per month requirement, except for workfare. Next slide, please. And last but certainly not least, the county has an obligation to screen for those exemptions to both work registration and to the time limits and work participation before counting a month towards the CalFresh time limit. And the county also must screen if somebody loses an exemption, they say they become no longer disabled and impairment heals, or somebody is no longer meeting the work requirement, they lose their job or something. Then the county must screen again for other exemptions before counting months. And the form is called the CF 377.11E. Someone can look at that form themselves and even fill out the form themselves and submit it to the county to let the county know, hey, I think I'm exempt and here's why. But that is the form that the county worker is going to use to screen for those exemptions. And so that's the overview of how the work participation and community engagement requirements will work starting June 1st.
Thank you so much, Stephen, for that overview. Really appreciate it. And so once someone is identified as needing to meet the work requirement and or community engagement requirement, we're going to now move on to Sacramento County Department of Human Assistance, Jenny Ward, to share out what happens from the county's end for the customer, for the CalFresh recipient. What should they expect? And how can they respond? So Jenny, take it away.
Thank you, Amy, for that great introduction. Slide, please. So the county's role and responsibilities is to implement the new able-bodied adults without dependence policy changes, which is what we're calling ABOD, is what Stephen was discussing earlier in this presentation. We also are going to review impacted CalFresh cases at application and recertification. We're going to screen customers for exemptions that they might be eligible to. We're going to send the required notices and requests for information to our customers. We're going to coordinate with community partners and service providers. And the county's goal is to really help eligible customers maintain their access with CalFresh benefits while complying with the federal and state requirements that are now the new implemented. Next slide, please. And you might ask, how will our customers be notified? Well, we're going to send out informational mailings and flyers. We're going to have community partners outreach and education, just like this one. We're going to reach out via social media for the Department of Human Assistance County's pages. We're going to send our customers their notice of actions, which tells them what has been going on with their case. And also, I have linked a link in the PowerPoint right there to our California Department of Social Services, which is called CDSS, which is our state government that brings down the regulations, and all the able-bodied adult with dependent resources are linked right there for further research. Next slide, please. So our implementation timeline here at the county is before June 1st, our staff is being trained. We're going to do outreach and case reviews at our application and recertification. And then June 1st is our official implementation date. So for summer and fall of 2026, later this year, we're going to be doing ongoing reviews and customer support because we need to do this for recertification. So that is ongoing. And we're going to continuously coordinate with community organizations to try to reach out and get more people eligible by the regulations. Next slide, please. So what can customers expect? They can expect eligibility reviews and exemption screenings for their case. They can request additional information if needed. We can give referrals to employment and training resources. That is voluntary, and that's at customer's request. We can support from county staff and community organizations. And we can provide opportunities for verification before negative action on any case. And we're happy to help assist with that. Next slide, please. And how can the community organizations help? They can help customers understand the notices and the deadlines that are provided to them. They can connect customers with work and training opportunities. They can assist with gathering verification and documents to help submit to the county to keep their case going. They can encourage customers to respond to county requests promptly and support outreach and education efforts. That is how Sacramento County is going to help out with this new implementation change. Next slide, please. Thank you very much, and back to Amy.
Thank you, Jenny, and thanks for all that helpful information to know locally how we can respond to these changes and how we can work together to help our community stay on their CalFresh. So again, I'm Amy Dearlam, the CalFresh director here at River City Food Bank, and if we can move on to my slides. So River City Food Bank is here to help in a variety of ways. One is our food distributions 4 days a week, 2 locations, Midtown and Arden Arcade. We're open Tuesday through Friday, Tuesdays and Thursdays in Midtown, and Wednesdays and Fridays in Arden Arcade. I'll repeat that at the end for your information, but want to know that's always available to anyone that needs it living in Sacramento County. And then we do, in addition, have our CalFresh Outreach Department. Myself and my team member, we're full-time here, English and Spanish speaking, to help out with anything related to CalFresh. Next slide. So we came up as CalFresh Outreach Assistants. We came up with some tips on how you can prepare and get support for these changes. Next slide. So first off, making sure you have a benefitscal.com account. This is an account that will tell you a lot of information about your CalFresh and Medi-Cal accounts. It will tell you when things are due. You can do some of the paperwork online. It will tell you the status of your cases. You'll be able to also find out if you've used any of your 3 months that was talked about by Stephen. Will tell you how many months you've used, how many more you have left. Lots of great information. I encourage anybody on Medi-Cal or CalFresh, make sure you have a benefitscal.com account. If you need any help creating that account, we're here to help, or Sacramento County workers are as well. Next, keeping your mailing address and your phone number updated with the county. Very, very important. You're going to be getting notices, and you want to make sure that they have the right address to mail those to, as well as your phone number, especially if you've bought into, or not bought into, but said you want to get text messages from them. That way you can be getting messages from them about things that are coming due. It's very helpful. So you want to make sure your phone number and address are up to date with the county. You want to check your mail for notices. They do come periodically. Jenny mentioned some of the notices that you'll be getting for this change. If you need any help with reading those, I have many customers that come to us asking, what is this all about? We can go over it with them and figure out what the notice is stating, as well as what kind of action a customer needs to take. A county worker can do the same thing as well. You want to keep informed about your status. Are you an ABOD? Do you have an exemption? Are they counting your months yet? So if you need to find an exemption or look for volunteer or work opportunities, that's what we're here for, is to help find a way to keep you on the CalFresh and not get taken off or get down to the 3-month limit. We also recommend really seeking out help when you need it. Between county workers and community-based organizations such as River City Food Bank, we're here to help you get through this change. Next slide. Here's some places you can go for support. You can call our county Department of Human Assistance and talk to a county worker. We'll have this available in our resources at the end of our time together here. You can call our department and get assistance. If you're needing help in other languages, there are a variety of CBO organizations, that's community-based organizations here in Sacramento County, that have a myriad of quite a big variety of languages. 211, Sacramento Food Bank and Family Services, Community Health Works, and Asian Resource Center are just a few that I know have a wide range of language capacity to help. And then Legal Services in Northern California as well. Stevens organization can help as well. Next slide. If you're interested, again, in additional resources, River City Food Bank is here for you. We have, again, the food distributions at 2 locations here in Sacramento County, open to anybody in Sacramento County. No barriers. You don't have to bring anything with you. You'll get to choose healthy, fresh food that you want to take home with you. And you can go to both locations each week. Sacramento Food Bank and Family Services oversees over 200 food distributions around our county. They do on their website have a food finder that will show you all the different places you can go depending on your zip code or where you're living. You can look up to find out where close distributions are happening in your area. And then Alchemist is an agency as well, oversees the farmer markets, helps with the EBT market match program to extend your CalFresh benefits. This is a program where you can get additional money to buy fresh produce at the farmers market. So we want to shout out to them as well as another local resource to stretch your CalFresh dollars. Next slide. And then I just wanted to add some agency websites that would be helpful for you beyond watching this video. These are places you can go and look up for the latest on what's happening in terms of these changes. California Department of Social Services, Jenny mentioned earlier, they do have an ABOD page with all kinds of resources. Sacramento County Department of Human Assistance, their webpage. California Association of Food Banks has a whole big section on this area. Legal Services of Northern California has a guide that's very helpful. And Western Center on Law and Poverty. These are all agencies that are keeping up with the latest on this whole change in CalFresh. And these are great resources. We'll have this available as a link at the end with a QR code, as well as a link below to click on and check out specific links to these resources for you. Okay, we are now on to our question and answer section of our time together. And again, thank you for those of you who submitted questions. They were very good, and we are ready to answer them for you. I have selected certain people of our panel to answer each question, but others will feel free to chime in if they need to. So for our first question, for households that will be impacted by these changes, will there be any additional programs or supports available to help fill the gap if people are losing their CalFresh? For example, how could programs like Sunbucks, which is the summer EBT for families, help? And will eligibility for Sunbucks be affected by these changes? Jenny.
Thank you for that question, Amy. So yes, while some households are impacted by our new ABOD changes, the able-bodied adults without dependents, other food and community supports may still be available, which includes the Sunbucks program. We also have school meals, food banks, and employment services. And I do want to mention that Sunbucks eligibility is different than the ABOD rules because it's based on eligible children, not adults. So even if CalFresh changes for a household, children still may qualify for Sunbucks through school meals, through eligibility with Medi-Cal, foster youth, and other qualifying pathways. Community organizations like River City Food Bank can help families stay connected to available food resources and support programs. Thank you.
Great. Super. Thanks. Good question. Good question. And those Sunbucks are going to be rolling out at the end of this month throughout the summer. So be looking if you do have children or minors that are in those programs to be getting those cards in the mail, 1 card per child $120, and use them. They're there for you to use. All right, next question. What can local government and elected officials do to better support community members who may be impacted by these changes? And I'm going to answer that one. I did reach out to California Association of Food Banks, their policy folks, for some ideas and guidelines, and they did give this to us. You can weigh in now with the governor's office and legislative leadership, Assemblymember Gabriel, Senator Laird, Assemblymember Jackson, Senator Menenjar, about the need to invest in critical solutions to support people impacted by these changes. And here are some specific ways to do that. There are 3 areas of the governor's budget that we need to help boost. The governor just did his revision last week, his May revision, and there were some areas that were not addressed that still can be addressed before it is finalized. So here they are. Our CalFood request of $60 million ongoing and $50 million one-time to support food banks who will face more demand due to this HR1 kicking off of CalFresh or making it harder to stay on. So for food banks to help get more food. Our CalFresh Outreach Network request. Actually, all of us CBOs who are doing the outreach, that funding is getting cut. So there's a request for $14 million to support application assisters. That's us helping people navigate these changes. And so, again, this would be an important piece to try to stress to your legislative leadership that this needs to be included in the governor's budget. And last but not least, the request to expand CFAP, state food assistance for people kicked off due to HR1. The state does have some reserve money, but it needs more to help those folks who are no longer eligible based on their status here in the country. And that is what CFAP is about, is additional money to supplement. And so we're asking for help with that. All right, next question. And this is for Stephen. Looking ahead, what systems, policies, or supports need to be strengthened or reconsidered to help prevent a situation like this from happening again?
Well, I've got a couple of different answers to that. That's in some ways that's fundamentally a politics question, and things like lobbying the state and federal government, which is not really what I'm here to talk about. My role here today is to talk about what is and what we need to deal with now. As far as what we need to deal with now, it's helping people to screen for exemptions and to understand what exemptions are available to them. It's helping people to be able to get in to see medical providers, to get a medical exemption form or get a letter completed by a medical provider for an exemption that they should be entitled to if that applies to them. It's working with counties to be able to do workfare programs, and perhaps in the future, should a county decide to do it, to do comparable workfare programs, which is one other way to meet the work participation requirement that we didn't talk about. And it's also, finding opportunities for people to be able to participate, education programs, volunteer opportunities with nonprofits and those kinds of things, to be able to deal with, these are for now anyway, these are the rules that we need to deal with, and we need to just figure out ways that people can navigate them to continue to get the benefits that they really need.
Right. Thank you. Thank you, Stephen. Next question, this is for Jenny. For individuals and households who may be impacted by these changes, how and when will they be notified by the county? What kind of timing do they get to be notified? And will there be ongoing reminders as they approach their time limit or use their 3 countable months?
Yes. Thank you for that. So individuals and households that are impacted by our ABOD, the able-bodied adult without dependent changes, they will receive notices from the county explaining the new requirements, what impacts can potentially happen to their CalFresh benefits, and any actions that are needed to maintain this eligibility. They will be notified immediately when their action is taken on their case. Customers will also be informed at intake and recertification that they have to meet those ABOD work requirements or qualify for an exemption. And they will also receive notices as each countable month is used. And they also receive notification before benefits are reduced or discontinued. So we're trying to be very notification crazy over here just to make sure that our customers maintain their CalFresh eligibility.
Okay, so a couple clarifying questions then. If I am considered an ABOD, you've determined that I'm an ABOD, at what point during the year will I receive the notice that I've been identified as an ABOD? Will this all kick off in June, or when are those notices going out?
So if you're a new applicant starting June 1st, you will be screened to see if you are an ABOD and see if you are under any exemptions to be not an ABOD to continue on. Now, if you're an ongoing recipient on CalFresh, after June 1st, after that month of June, if your recertification's in June, we'll start there. If your recertification is from June forward, we will assess for ABOD exemptions and work requirements from June 1st forward.
Okay, so I will not get a notice right away if my recert is like in December or something. I won't get a notice.
No, it'll be
Okay.
at your recertification. Yes.
Okay, all right. And then I will get monthly notices on my 3 months if they are consecutive months. I will get
If they're
those notices.
consecutive, if they're within the 3-year period, you will receive a notification of a month used. Yes.
Okay, each month. Okay, great. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. And I just want to take a moment to thank our panel for participating in this and helping us to share out valuable information to the customers and residents here of Sacramento County, and as well as others around the state, on how we're responding here in Sacramento. And thank you for being with us here at the CalFresh Community Forum hosted by River City Food Bank. We thank you. Again, there will be links to resources for you, websites, and QR codes that you can find more information beyond this video. And as always, we want you to know that River City Food Bank is here for you with food distributions and with CalFresh assistance. Thank you so much for watching.